You got to understand, when you step into this ring, there's weight that comes with it, and just knowing how to manage that weight is huge, because you can lose yourself in it, and that's the thing. Like, that's the real. I say it again. That's the real battle. Is Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep yourself, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, like, that's a real statement, right? If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. So, like, in this entrepreneur journey, like, if you can keep yourself in this journey, you won.
Empower You podcast is devoted to bringing real world wisdom and encouragement to our listeners. We discuss a multitude of life principles and the process from an economic, cultural, and societal perspective. We believe that through tough conversations and shared wisdom, we can pave the path and leave a ladder for the future. Subscribe to our channel and let us empower you. Welcome to Empower You podcast. My name is Kidboy Cooper. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I'm doing great. Hope you are too. So today we're going to be talking about a topic I think is very important in our process of becoming something, right? Of recovering, of healing. In this men series, we've kind of been talking about some of the big issues that a lot of men face and why these are problems and how we can get over them, right? Men are important in society. They're important in their families. They're important to just the overall makeup of society and humanity in general. And so we want to help each other, just like we want to help other people. I think it's important that we spend some time and focus on some of the pain and the trauma surrounding manhood and what it means to be a man and endeavoring to be a good man and a good person. And the things that happen along that way, right, along that journey. It's not always pretty, and we all definitely make mistakes, but this is a safe space for us to explore what that looks like and to really have the dialogue that's necessary to get beyond those mistakes, right? So let's talk about this topic and this guest. So first of all, our topic is transforming from trauma to triumph, okay? And that entire process is can get a bit dirty, can get a bit frustrating. And so the rewards on the other side are equally, if not more so, as brilliant and amazing. And so I have a guest with me today. He's just waiting off screen, and we're going to be talking about what that looks like, okay? So my guest is a CEO. He is the secret weapon to some of the 7- and 8-figure brands that you've seen all over social media and Instagram. He is the coach's like secret sauce, really, when it comes to some of these great big online marketers and or course creators. They come to him to get some things figured out. Okay, he's a father. He is a husband. His name is Words Taylor, and he is a really good, awesome guy. So I'm gonna bring him on up. Okay, Words, what's happening, bro?
Let's go, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Thanks for asking. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about this conversation, and just for you having me, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. We got it. We had to chop it up, man. We had a great time in Atlanta. We were at a CEU Mastermind Retreat. That's where I first met Words. I had seen him online for a while, and so and I even actually been in some communities that he was coaching in. And so thankfully, as my process increased and got better, I was able to be in the same room with him, and so to met him, and we just been really cool ever since. And so I'm super excited that you're here.
Thankfully, I was able to be in the same room as you.
You funny, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, man, tell us a little bit about Words. tell us about yourself. Tell us where you're from, and kind of give us a little bit of background before we dive into some of these questions, brother.
Yeah. So I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised there. I left there to attend Iowa State University, which is in Ames, Iowa. Okay. And I graduated. I met my wife there, and we moved 30 minutes away from there, which is Des Moines, Iowa. So I am currently still in Iowa. It's my son in the background. So I'm currently still in Iowa right now, and we're in our process to moving now. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you trying to move
right
to,
now,
bro?
Go ahead.
I said, where you trying to move to, bro? What's on your sights?
So here's the thing. We're actually gonna spend a year in Spain. Just because my wife has never been to Europe before. She loves the Spanish culture, and she majored in Spanish and all of those things. And we got married in Puerto Rico, so like we just love the culture. So I'm gonna move there, visit Spain and Italy and all those other countries that are there, Paris and London and all that stuff. So we want to do a year of just traveling, and then from there we're gonna move to Dallas. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say right now. I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to say that. I'm proud.
Yeah.
I love it, but I also didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah, it's something that we've wanted to be able to travel for a long time, bro. Just to be able to explore and see what else is available to us.
Yeah.
And when you've been, our families are both been, we grew up in poverty, and my father, who is a great man, didn't even have a high school education. Her mom and her father, all of these things. So there was a lot of restriction, placed on our lives for so long. And now that we are in a different position, it's like, all right, let's remove the shackles. Let's get this work. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this work. Yeah. So, bro,
that's really interesting, we have man. You
3 kids later. Okay. All right. So that's the. Whew. Okay.
And you guys all of y'all going to Spain. You ain't leaving them here,
all
right?
Right. Trust me, I tried to see how that could work out, but unfortunately, they're still in the dependency age, 10, 5, and 2. So they actually need us a little longer.
They're gonna be chasing the car.
Yeah, exactly. They actually need us a little more. So yeah.
That's awesome,
that's me in a nutshell. Yep.
That's awesome, bro. Like you said so many things there that I think are really important. I think, first of all, you talked about your background and being from a poverty background, right? I think most Americans in some way, shape, or form are impacted by poverty, by child hunger, by lack of means, low credit scores, things like that. Things that isolate you from opportunities that you may have had otherwise. And so I think that's really important that you said that. You also said that, now that we're in a different position, we're doing our best to live, to do more. And I think there's an entire process you have to go through in order to, one, come out of that indoctrinated poverty mindset, come out of this religion, as I would call it, the religion of lack. Ooh, that's a good term. I'm gonna keep that. This religion of lack that kind of settles over you when you're from certain environments. And so I think that's really awesome, man, that you're doing all of that, and that you're changing that for your children. Like, they won't ever know anything about that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is wild.
And I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's not you have it right. It's a mindset, right? So I'm not saying you need money in order to be free and to live. I just think that is the restriction that was placed on me. Like me thinking that money was the thing that caused us to be able to live, or money was the thing that brought us happiness, or anything like that. I was just able to, through this process of not having, we were just able to finally truly understand, like, okay, you know what? Our happiness is not contingent upon that. How can we still create moments and be joyful even without? But now that we are able to now make money, it's like, all right, now how can we use this money to create new experiences as well? But the happiness has to come first. And when you have that, then we can start to take another journey. We can start to add on to that journey, right? We can start doing things that complement this happiness that we've created for ourselves.
Yeah.
And even now, bro, I still have to fight these urges of like, oh my God, are we good? Are we okay? No, we're good. Okay. Whew. So it doesn't go away right away. You just I have to constantly remind myself. I have to continue to grow in it, and that's what's been helpful, bro.
Wow, man, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing,
yeah.
Bro. I'm on that journey, bro. I feel man, I just feel like the more I do, the more I see that I can't do. The more that I see I need to learn, the more that I see it's just out of my reach, the more that I see it's just in my reach. You know what I mean? Like, so it's this weird kind of like, it's interesting. And I agree, man, because I was telling a buddy of mine on the phone yesterday. I said, bro, I'm so grateful that I have a niche that I really enjoy and that I have a service or something I can provide that really I think is awesome and that I can help other people with. And I have, you know what I mean? So it's just like that gratitude is very, very important. And so I think that's huge that you mentioned that. So I want to kind of go back to your childhood a little bit.
Okay.
So what was your childhood like? What's a distinct memory that comes up when you hear the word childhood?
So man, you know what? Right away when you say it, I think there are two things that in a moment comes up. The first thing is, which was a huge part of my childhood, which was at 7 years old, I was split from my mother, and I went to move with my father. That was a huge transition for me to now no longer have this woman in my life, and to be transitioning to living with my father. And that was a hard transition, because I still longed for her. I still wanted and desired for her. I still looked for her in the stands and all of those things. Whereas, I feel like, man, if there's one person that's supposed to just be there always, it's your mom, right? Yeah. On the other hand, and we're doing great now. We're building now and all of those things. But on the other hand, I can remember times with my father, and one distinct memory is which I got made fun of for. These go hand in hand. These are two things. My father was very active in my life. So I remember I was playing football, and I'm on the football field, and I'm on the sideline. I just moved. I just went to a new school, high school, and I'm on the sideline. And I just remember my father going, "Coach, put my boy in, Coach. Put my boy in." And I'm just like, "Oh my God! Like, Coach, you're never gonna win. You gotta put my boy in, Coach." And finally, the coach put me in, and I killed it, right? But from then on, in the locker room, all I'm hearing is, Coach, put my boy in, Coach, put my boy in, Coach. But, I can appreciate that later on in life. And I was like, my father was advocating for me.
Absolutely.
He was like, he was saying something. He was like, look, my son has talent. There was a level of belief in this statement of put my boy in. It wasn't just like, I just want to see him play. It's like, no, my boy is talented. And if you want to reap the benefit of this talent, you need to put him in. And I'm just like, oh shoot. Now, I wasn't thinking like that.
Yeah. How old were you?
Harrison did. What'd you say?
How old were you?
18.
You were 18? Okay.
Yeah. So this is my senior year, or no, 17. So this is my junior year when it first started, and I ended up earning a starting position my senior year. But but it came from him advocating at first. Another memory inside of high school was this man was at my prom, and listen, bro, my father didn't graduate from high school, so I did not appreciate or see it then, but my man bought his own tux. He went tuxedo shopping. He got something personalized for himself and all of this stuff. And he's at my prom. And I'm like, he had a date and everything as a chaperone, right? You know what I'm saying? So, but however, for me later, you know, us talking about it, I was just like, that must have been a dope moment for him, you know, to not have experienced that in his childhood, to miss out on that experience, but he was able to experience it through his son. And to be there and see these moments happening in my life was probably just, you know, invaluable to him. Like this, that was the richest for him. And so I'm able to see those things and appreciate those later. And it's funny that when you ask, those are the three moments that kind of come to my mind. So yeah.
Wow, man, that's incredible. Those are great stories, bro.
Yeah.
Your pops is something else, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Sure.
So do you feel like that belief that, you know, your pops had in you, as far as like, you know, his confidence, his absolute confidence in the fact that you'd help any team, you know, let alone the team that was at your high school win. How do you feel like that's translated into your adult life? I mean, and even in the work that you do with businesses, man. I mean, like, we didn't even really talk about some of your business accomplishments. Share with us a little bit about what you do.
Right, it's in everything that I do. That belief, that mindset is ingrained inside of me. Like I even like, I can bring any of my kids up here now, and if I say it will be hard, but what, they will finish the sentence and say, but I can do it, because that same resiliency that he implanted, at the same level of belief that you can do anything. You know, my pops used to tell me that he was like, you're a millionaire. You know, he used to say this as, you know, I'm 12, 13, 14, you're a millionaire. Like, I need you to think that way. You're a millionaire. Like, when I left for college, I had to give him a plan. What's your plan? I'm gonna go to college. Okay, then what? What are you gonna do there? When are you gonna graduate? This, like, it was always about, like, you being the best that you can do, you putting forth the best effort. And so that translated in business. You know, now I'm able to work with some of the biggest influencers in the industry, right?
Yeah, bro.
And like Eric Thomas, like Him 500, like David Shands, like the two founders of Support Black College. I've done launches for them. People that may not be considered big influences online, but are big influences in their industry, like a Daisy Duncan, like Rochelle T. Parks, like Terica Lynn Smith, like, you know, the list goes on, and I'm grateful for that. Absolutely. Right? And that's because the word got out, like, yo, this is the guy. This is the guy that you go to when you want to launch. And if you hear the testimonials, they like the work he's going to put in for you is unmatched. The being meticulous in certain things is unmatched. And that came from this idea of, when you get me on a project, it's not your project anymore. It's ours.
Absolutely.
And if I treat it like it's ours, well, I don't like to lose. I want to be the best. That's the mindset that I take in everything I do. And now that I'm on this weight loss journey, I'm like, yo, I want to be the best. You know, I've been a vegan for 10 months now. I'm like, how do I become the best vegan? I don't even know if that's a thing, but how do I become the best vegan?
I've seen you on there. I've seen some of the people you had tagged in your post. And what's the young lady's name? I feel like I'm gonna mess up her name. She goes by
Daisy.
Yeah. I've been watching her stuff for a minute, man. Like, I'm sure she got you right, bro. I've seen like just pictures of how your transformation has been happening, bro.
Yeah. Like, you may be talking about. Are you talking about coaching or?
Oh, you had made a post about your weight loss journey, and you were shouting out some of the people who had supported you.
Oh yeah. So there was Daisy was one of the people. Like, she's just a phenomenal friend that, like, literally, they're godfathers. Her and her husband Rashard are godfathers to my godparents, to my kids, and all of those things. So when you are in a circle, your circle is the one that's going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's a part of that circle of just like, hey, bro, you supposed to be eating that? Are you, is this part of your health journey? Or, I can go out and work out with them, or we go on walks and all of those things. So I was tagging the village that has helped me be accountable.
Yeah.
My wife being the first person I tagged, just because she's the one in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? She's the one making sure that everything goes down correctly. So it is, everything we do, and anything I do, I've learned that I want to build a village around it. This is how you create success.
Yeah.
It's not about you doing it yourself and you puffing your chest out and allowing your ego to go in the way. It's like, how can you build a village around the success that you want? And when you have that, I'm telling you, it changes everything. Which is why we're in the program. That's why I'm in the program, the 7-Figure Society program. It's like, I'm trying to reach a certain level and get away from entrepreneurship and be a CEO. I'm not looking to try to do that on my own. Who cares about, I did this came from me. I don't care about any of that. I just want to get there. I don't care about, did I do it or did 30 people help me? I'm there, and I will recognize those 30 people once I'm there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So what do you feel like, and all of that stuff comes from, or at least, the way I'm looking at it, I feel like all of that mentality and stuff comes from the
trauma.
Well, I mean, but then also it's just what was demonstrated to you. You know what I mean? As far as like your winning mindset, the idea that it's going to be hard, but we going to do it. You know what I mean? But we can do it. Like that. Yeah. That comes from an idea that you got from your father. And so, one of the things I wanted to ask is like, what was your first impression of manhood, and how do you now take that in as an adult and as a father and as a husband, instill that into your children?
Yeah, so this is a great question, bro. First of all, shout out to the questions though, bro. I would say my first impression, like, again, if I'm going to my father, he was a hard parent. He was a great man. He was a hard parent. There were times when I didn't like him. I didn't want to be around him. And it wasn't because, it was just because he would push so hard. So my first sight of manhood and what a man should be is like, you have to be this hard man. You can't be tried. You don't let people try you. You don't cry. You don't take for, you don't let anybody take anything from you. Don't let anybody put their hands on you. You protect yourself at all times. You're great. You're the best. Stick your chest out. You're alpha male. That. This is what I learned, and I remember in college, I took that same mentality to college, and I ended up getting. I got into fights. I got in. One of my guys. It was two of my guys, James and my guy Steve. They were like, bro, you're just always angry. You need to do something. You know what I'm saying? They were like, yo, you need to like get a hobby or start rapping or something. So I tried rapping. That didn't work. But then I found spoken word poetry. And this was around the time of Def Poetry Jam and all that. This is where the name Words came from.
I'm done with you.
Bruh, I was doing spoken word, and I'm telling you, like, rocking. I started traveling, and this is how my career actually began. I was getting on stages. I created a book, CD, all of these things, because this became my worship. This is how I was able to worship and give God honor and praise. But this is also how I was able to get the anger out. Bro, if you listen to all my poems, like,
bro, you got some poems you can spit?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You gotta spit a poem before we get out of here, bro.
Okay, yeah. So I got a short one, like a 30, 40-second one, but most of them are like 2 minutes, 2:30 or something like that. But I had a couple that even went somewhat viral online and things like that. But I was able to finally get that out, bro, and it was so helpful to me. But But then here's the shift though. When I graduated, when I got out of college, I met a guy, Rashard Duncan. This was my second encounter with a man. Like, I had pastors and things that demonstrated this, but I never saw it from anybody that was close to it. So my second encounter with manhood was, for the first time, there was a man that wasn't flexing, didn't puff out his chest, wasn't trying to prove anything to me. And I remember the first time we went over his house, he was like, yo, I'm going to be cooking dinner for you all and all of that stuff. I got you. Are you good with tilapia and all of this stuff? And I'm like, he would tell you that. I'm like, you cooking for me? What are you? And I'm looking at him like, bruh, I'm not on that. You know what I'm saying? Because I had never experienced anything like this before, where another man is like, or serving, or even giving in that way, other than my father, right? And so he was like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, do you want some tilapia? I'm cooking tilapia and potatoes. And then we played games and all of this stuff. And we started building a relationship. He's still my best friend to this day. And I was just like, this was crazy to not have, I had to be around a man that had nothing to prove. He didn't have to prove anything to me. He wasn't trying to show me that, like, I'm stronger than you, I'm better than you, I get more girls than you, none of that stuff. And that's when I was like, oh shoot, there's a different level, there's a different part to manhood that I haven't encountered. And so now today, I love the idea of that I can still be assertive, but my preference is I am one that I love to serve. I love to be polite. I love to help and to laugh. And I'm the person that if you walk past me, I'm gonna speak to you. Yo, what's going on? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And before I was like, you walk past, we had the mean mug, and I couldn't be the first person to speak because then that means I'm soft. And I'm like, I don't have to prove any of those things. And there's strength in vulnerability now. And vulnerability doesn't necessarily mean that I have to, cry, which I don't mind doing. But vulnerability means I can be me and not feel some type of way about being me. I don't have to prove to you that I'm like you, or I don't have to prove to you that I'm somebody else. I get to just be me. There's so much freedom in that. Like, everywhere I go, bro, I am the same silly, assertive, whatever you want to, like, whatever you see, I'm the same way everywhere I go now. And that to me is true manhood. Is you being able to just be yourself. And whatever that, if you're a person that, if you love movies, then say you love movies. If you cried during The Notebook, which I did, if you know what I'm saying, then put my favorite movie is Love and Basketball. Okay, so if that's it, just say that and be proud of that. Like that was huge for me. So I think those are my memories of manhood. Like, those are my introductions to two different types of men, and now I'm able to now formulate my own opinion and my own thought and characteristic of what a man is.
Wow, man, that's really incredible, and I think that's so vital. And I think we take that as men, we take that for granted. Like, we forget that the other half of being valuable as a man is your ability to feel and to discern situations, man. Like, that's an essential part of leadership, is being able to feel, man. And I think we get all wrapped up in this persona that we have created around ourselves, and it's generally to hide something, right? I think that's awesome, bro, that you writing poetry, bro. I didn't expect you to say that either. Twice you surprised me. Listen, bro, like, I grew up writing poetry and short stories and singing and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
so that's wild,
Yeah.
bro. And I 100% agree with that. Like, that's such a great outlet. And it
Yeah.
helps you through a lot of different issues and or traumas
Yeah.
that you may have. So when did you
Absolutely.
realize, so now, like, you know, you've gone through college, you know, you're starting to write and things like that. Like, what got you into the digital space then? Like, how did you take, you know, you went from being a super assertive young man to now being a
Yeah.
very, very conscious and sensitive poet to now
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
an online, you know, guru, entrepreneur, like secret weapon, which is not at all any of those other things. So, like, how does that happen?
I think, bro, you know what? I think my mishaps or my failures or emotions, it like pushes me into certain places. So like poetry started from a place of just anger and hurt and resentment, and then I was able to have that, right? And I did it for so long, and people still today call me for gigs, and I'm like, no, I'm just not in that space anymore, right?
Oh, that's wild.
And it's hard to just tap back into that space. But I started getting into the corporate world. My pops was an entrepreneur. Like when I was younger, he didn't work a job. Like he always, had a hustle or something that he would create money from. And so he and I was trying to like, no, people like, yo, you need to go to college, you need to get a good job. So we were trying to break out of this hustling system and this entrepreneur system to get into this corporate system. And that's not how we were taught. He's always taught me to make my own money, be independent. And so literally I'm in the corporate world and I suck. Like sitting at a desk and task oriented thing. I'm a talker. I remember some of the feedback, like, you know how they do monthly reviews. My boss would come by and like, yo, you know what? Everybody talks about how inspirational you are and how you bring energy and all those things, but we just need you to sit in your seat more. And I'm just like, I can't do it, Yeah. So finally, I go to a job I absolutely love. I'm able to talk more and all of those things. But then what really got me started was there was one job that I took and I literally was at a point where I'm like, yeah, I don't need to finish school. I had like 20 credits left and they were paying me. Listen to this. Okay, are you ready for this? My man was like, yo, we're gonna pay you $55,000 a year, and we'll give you a percentage of the office that we want you to open up in Ames. I said, yo, you bring my wife, who was my fiance at the time, you bring my wife on board, and I'll do it. So for $110,000, I quit school. I'm like 23, 24 at the time. I ended up quitting school. I had my wife leave her job. I said, yo, this is what we're doing now. So we're making $110,000. Now, to me, that's like, we're balling. We've made it.
Yeah.
Forget the school. We bought a house, buying a car. I got crown molding on the ceiling. Like, crown molding is expensive, bro. Listen to me.
Yes, it is.
It's expensive.
Yes,
My man was like, oh, it's going to be this much per yard or however they do. I'm like, bro, don't talk to me about money. Just get it up here. Okay? So I'm talking about, bro, after a year, they made a mandate that said, yo, you actually need a degree to do this job now. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be grandfathered in, whatever, like that. No. So we went from making $100,000 a year to now I was able to get unemployment. I was making $250 a week. So I'm now at a position where we have crown molding on a wall, but there's no furniture in those rooms. Okay, we talking about empty rooms, and then it gets to a point where our lights get cut off, our water gets cut off, and all these things. We're having to go to food pantries. We're going to checking and cash spots where we're borrowing money from certain places, and from this company, and trying to pay our bills. And so what happened is a friend was like, they just bought their home. They're like, yo, y'all can stay in our basement because we're about to lose our home now. while I'm in the basement, I am literally Googling, how do I make money online fast? And again, I'm at a point of a fork in the road where I'm like, I need to do something. I find this guy, James Wedmore, who's teaching about funnels. He's teaching he's on YouTube. Video pops up from YouTube and he's like, look, this is what you want to do. You want to put videos up. You want to tell people to click the link, just like I'm doing with you. So click the link. I'm going to tell you that we're going to do a 5-day thing together. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do funnels and then how you pitch your offer at the end. So listen, as I'm clicking the link, I say, this is not going to work. This is dumb. How did he think you're going to get people to click the link? As I click the link, as I show up, as I'm doing the thing, and that video was up 6 months prior to me getting there. So I'm on that video. I click the link. On day 3, he's like, look, I got a special offer for you all at the end. Get your credit card ready. You're going to tell me to get my credit card. I'm not buying from you. Okay? You're not about to. I don't know you.
I'm only here for the free stuff. All right?
I'm only here for the free stuff. I get to day 5. He presents the offer. I purchase. I'm like, I'm doing this. And this broke me into this world of marketing and sales and the shift for me was excuse me, I was in the group and I was doing some of the stuff he was saying and I learned how to build funnels. I built out my funnels and all of those stuff. The funnel is just just a way to get people from one place, cold people that don't know you, to a point of getting them prepared to buy from you, right? So you go through a process to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm doing that. I didn't make any money. And we found out from a young lady, Kimber Luna, she puts in the group, she's like, y'all, I just made $60,000 in one day. And I was like, what did you just do? Because I quit school for a job that was paying $55,000 a year. How you making $60,000 in one day? And she was doing webinars. And I said, boom. She invited us all to a webinar to show us how to do it. I get on her webinar. I said, this is it. So I combined the two. What he was showing me was the funnels, but the biggest thing about that was it wasn't using my gift, which is my voice. What she showed me was how to now put video and webinars and all of those things inside the funnel, because that's how I was able to communicate with people more appropriately in my style. So once I put both of those together, boom, I'm everything I launched from then on, I did it through webinar. And I was doing this, and what happened was, as I joined other programs to try to get ahead, I joined one of the programs I joined was ET's program. And I'm teaching the people in the group for free how to do funnels. And they're all like, oh, this is so helpful. So E's COO hits me up and was like, yo, do a funnel for us. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And boom, from there. And it was just me getting into the room. I already had the skill set. I'm getting into the room. I'm serving for free. And boom, that's where it came from. But the connection to E was already there from a mentor, Terry Frazier. So he had already connected us. And once I joined E's program, it just kind of went up from there. From me creating success with him, everybody else started coming after that.
Oh yeah, I mean you do the right, yeah. I'm sure, because once you put the word out, that's awesome, bro.
So that's how we got there. It came from me losing that job. I did go back and finish my degree, but me losing that job caused me to get into a grind mode, a mode of all right, you know what? I'm not gonna put myself in this position again where I'm relying on somebody else to help me provide for my family. And I sought out how to do it, and that's how I entered this world.
That's awesome, bro. And I think that what you said, I'm not gonna depend on someone else. What I heard was to see value in me. I got a lot of trauma around how people see you and value and things like that. And so I think that's really interesting that you say that. It's just ultimately, in the job industry, in the job market, you are there to provide value in order to help the company reach certain goals. In the midst of that, they get to evaluate whether it makes sense or not, whether you're a good fit, regardless of your experience, regardless of anything else. They ultimately get to decide just whether they want you or not, which then ultimately decides how you make a living, how you eat,
Absolutely.
how and I'm not knocking anybody who works a 9 to 5 or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's trauma in that all by itself, and so I think that's really interesting that that event that's unfortunate allowed you to tap into something that's obviously much greater, because I'm sure they couldn't pay you now to do that job that you were doing before. It's just like,
no, not
get
at
off
all.
the phone.
They can pay me to come in and consult for sure.
Right. Listen, tell them. So what do you feel like are some of the things that you encountered? Like, so now things are getting better, right? You and your wife went through how long was that? I forgot.
Oh man. So that was 2012. We lost the home. We stayed in a friend's basement for about 4 months that year. And the rebound, I would say we finally got to a place of rebound, maybe like 2016, 17. 16 is when I finally, I got a job with the district. 15. So it was about a 3-year recovery. 15 is when I got a job with the district, and the district was hiring me to, I got approached. They were like, hey, we're going to start this poetry program called Half Pints for kids first grade through 5th grade. We're going to start this program. We're going to do a school. We got King Elementary was the first school. We're going to do just a trial there. I said, let's do it. I'm working at a job at the time. I said, let's do it. We do it. I don't hear anything for about 4 months over the summer. And I'm like, oh man, I got to go back to this job. I didn't hear anything. That failed. They called me in August and was like, look, not only did King Elementary love it, but we have 11 schools that want in. And I was like, oh shoot, let's do it. So in that first semester from September, this is 2015 still, from September to December, I go all in. Like, I work as hard as I can. By the time we go on Christmas break, by the time we come back from Christmas break, they're like, we have 4 more schools that want to do it. We got 4, the 4 high schools, we need you to start doing some work with them. After the school year, we go on summer break. Bro, when I come back 2016, we literally have 30 elementary schools that are on board. I start hiring some of the high school teenagers that that I was training, right? And it was all from Christopher and Emily. They were the 2 heads of this program, and so they just let me rock. They just let me do what I did. So we started getting some of the teens that we were mentoring. We started giving them jobs for middle school and the grammar school kids and all that, and we built out an entire program that is still thriving to this day. So when you talk about the most joy I've ever had, all I did was talk and teach. That's what I did. I made people have fun, and we did poetry, and we put on shows, and we traveled out to different cities and states. And I did this all the way up until the end of 2018. And it wasn't until, and here's the thing, I was getting paid maybe $40,000 a year, maybe 40. And I'm talking about, bro, I felt like I was getting $200,000 a year. Like, that's how much being joy, in your natural behavior. Yeah. And so what happened was, though, my guy, Rashard Duncan, who I've been talking about, he says, so it only costs $40,000 for you to not pursue your dream, because I've been doing the entrepreneur stuff on the side still. I say, so he was like, okay, so it only costs you $40,000. I said, what you talking about, bro? I'm free. He was like, you're not free. Look at what this fool told me. This good fool in a good way. He was like, you're not free, bro. You just have a long leash. and soon that leash will start choking you. I said, okay,
Just ruined it. You just ruined it.
Yes, he ruined the whole thing now. So now that he's saying this, I start to see, because I'm getting gigs, and then it starts to be like, well, hey, that gig has to come second, and I'm start seeing stuff where I'm like, oh shoot, this is where the leash is starting to choke me now, because things in my career, in my entrepreneur career, is growing, and I was like suppressing those things because I was so happy over here.
And because you're tired of being broke, bro.
Bro. I was just comfortable. And so literally he was like, bro, come the end of this year, I need you to put in your notice. And he's like, you will not. And this was like January, February, going into this is 2018. He's like, yo, tell him that you will not renew your contract for the new school year. At the beginning of the year, he's like, tell him you will not renew your contract. And I'm like, bro, okay, hold on. Like, what am I gonna do then? You know what I'm saying? He's like, do the stuff you've been doing. I'm like, I don't trust that yet. But I had the conversation with them. I told them, like, yo, it's time. I need to pursue my own thing and all that stuff. They were with it, of course. So August of 2018 was officially my last time getting paid from the school district for any employment. And like those 8 months, like I'm talking about grind. I'm still trying to get rid of the bags from under my eyes from 2018. And then 2019, my wife was able to come out of her job, and then we just continue to grow from there. So
wow, man. Oh my God. Bro. First of all, thank you for sharing that, man. That's so for anybody who's just joining us, this is Words Taylor, the entrepreneur's secret weapon, the webinar king in the digital media space, digital marketing space. And what we're talking about is going from trauma to triumph. And so if you're just now tapping in, you just go ahead and rewatch some of this, because he's really telling a lot of his story here. And I think it is just absolutely incredible. One of the things that I think is really interesting, and I got my own processes going, so I'm really watching how other people are navigating, because I'm like, this can't be just me, right? Like, I'm not like deficient or something. This is a real thing or something. So listening to your experiences is very, very validating, because taking that leap, especially after you're just coming out of a super down period, there's this yo-yo effect that can be damaging. And so, and damaging if you don't handle it right? Like, you got a wife who cares about you, who got your back, just that amount of stability, or having, I believe it will help you get through some difficult times, if that's the right one. I'm not, listen, everybody got their own situations, but I'm just saying. Sure. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, with this, as you're growing now, right? You've left that other job, things are starting to pick up, you got ET hitting you up and all this other kind of stuff. Like, was that traumatizing in of itself? Having now all of this demand on you? You could do this, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. Let's do that. And you're like, okay, like, one, I'll definitely take the bread, but also, there's only one of me. So how do I properly structure myself to
there's a level of disbelief. Like, I think entrepreneurship is not even about, the real part of entrepreneurship has nothing to do with money. It's everything to do about your personal growth, your journey, because entrepreneurship will bring out everything that you feared in your life, like, or everything that you tried to avoid, your anger, your resentment, your rejection, your anxiety or depression, or you not wanting to be alone with yourself and your own thoughts. All of those things, like, they're going to come out in entrepreneurship. So there's a whole nother level of trauma of just trying to find out, like, how do I take control of myself? How do I win this battle every day with me? Forget trying to sell something. I got to win the battle with me. I got to constantly remind myself of like who I am and what I do. And I will tell you, even though the school district approached me, I literally, when I was sitting at a cubicle, when I got the message, checking my Facebook because I was miserable, and they said they wanted me to do this, and I immediately told them no. I said, I just finally got a job. I finally am in position where I can comfortably say I'm providing for my kids. And I mean, for my family. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And it was my guy, Christopher, that was like, the words, you don't belong there. And in my head, I'm saying, I know, but I'm not leaving here because if I do, I'm not going to be able to provide. I tried that out there. I'm not going to be able to provide for my kids. And we just got in our great apartment. We just got furniture for the first time. We just like all of these things. Like, I'm like, we just got here. And now I'm positioned with the potential for another risk. And I told him no. And because they were like, yo, we're going to do this school and we're going to see if it works. Well, here is the reason why it was a risk. Because the times when they wanted to do it, I was working from during the times that they wanted that I would have to go to these schools. So I would need, and the job wouldn't give me the time off. So I would literally need to put in my 2 weeks at the job and take the risk for this thing that I don't know is going to happen, and hope the school loves what I'm doing enough to say, yep, we want a contract and we can get other schools on board. So literally when I first do it and I don't hear anything for 3-4 months, I'm like, God, I knew it is happening again. You know,
I messed up. I did it. I messed up. I screwed it up.
I messed up. I made the wrong decision again. And that's another point of trauma. When you start taking losses, bro, you start to second guess your decisions. You start to feel like every decision you make is going to be another L. And that's the overcoming that in itself is so hard. You know what I'm saying? And so when it finally goes through, it's just
preaching
like
right now. You're preaching right now. Because it's so true, bro. So you especially I feel like as men, you know, I don't know. For some of y'all, maybe this is not true, but at least for me and how I was raised, like, your job is to make sound decisions, not only for yourself, but for the people who you care about as well. So when you feel like a loose cannon, you feel like you are absolutely no good to your community. You are absolutely no good to your family. You are no good to yourself. And so, you know, the idea that 3 months after you made this initial decision, you still ain't heard nothing. Like, oh, well, there it is. There it is. Right.
And I remember going through launches like this where I'm telling my wife, like, I can't take another loss, man. I can't take another fail. Like, I don't want to do this. And it's just so, and she's, you know, again, she's like, you words Taylor. And then, you know, you kind of get to yourself like, what does that mean? So what does that mean? I don't even know what that means anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's hilarious.
So it was hard. Like, it was like when getting a contract with ET, and it's like, oh shoot, now you want me, like, you're gonna expect some results, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to, what if we don't get the results? And then, oh my God, this is the first time somebody believed in me, and I'm like, I'm still trying to believe in me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it was so much easier. So part of why we do stuff for free, because it's like, it's so much. There's no pressure on. Yeah. You know, I'm giving it to you for free. Yeah. So. Yeah. You know, I'm doing it for free. But when somebody actually like, I'm gonna pay you, it's like, you almost want to say, well, I'll just do it for free. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no pressure to that, right? So when we finally got that contract, we did it, man, and we hit it out the park.
Wow, man.
And that right there was the first time I was able to see my system, because it was like the ideas just flowed. I was able to see myself strategize and actually like, oh shoot, I do this. And from there, my guy Rashard, who I'm telling you about in the Daisy, my wife and I, best friends or whatever, they had a product, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna launch that product for you. And prior to that, I was telling them like, yo, this is what I do, this is what I learned, like, let me do this for you. And there wasn't a level of trust just yet. And finally, I was like, look, I need y'all to trust me. They were actually looking at another company to launch this product. I said, yo, I'm gonna do the product. I'm gonna launch it. And here, I just need y'all to trust my ideas. I'm telling you, whatever I came up with, they did it. And you know, they're 7 figures in now.
Oof.
Okay. So now that I have these 2 people under my belt, one of them being the #1 motivational speaker in the world.
In the world.
I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, in the world, Craig. You know what I'm saying?
In the world, Craig.
So at that point, I'm like, all right, we got something. We have a system. And from then, E just starts, he starts telling
everybody
he talked to, like, not, he didn't have to say it publicly. I'm glad he didn't say it publicly, because that might have been way more, I wasn't prepared for that. So if somebody would come to him and be like, yo, we need this, or I gotta launch this, he's like, yo, you need to talk to words. And so now people are just coming, you know, just like, and then it got to a point where he was like, yo, you gonna do all of our funnels and all this stuff. So it was, yeah. So it was a dope experience and all of that. And it just started coming, bro. So, but there was something in that where now I had to, again, we're in entrepreneurship. So now I had to learn something else about myself, which was, yeah, I'm a great leader when it comes to making sure everybody is happy and making sure I exhibit empathy, making sure your voice is heard, but I'm not a great leader. I wasn't a great leader when it came to making sure you fully understood your role in the business, or you fully understood your task, or being able to make sure that there's structure and systems in place in order for us to grow without a bunch of stress.
Capacity, bro.
Yeah. So, bro, like, I'm talking about when I say overwhelmed on a whole nother level, it was there. And then so we had high turnover for team and all of that stuff. And that's because we didn't have the proper things in place. We were growing so fast that it was just like, okay, you can do it. Okay, cool. Come on. And so there's no training. There's just like, all right, do it. I thought you said you can do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you not doing it
What
then?
does do this mean? I need to know exactly what do this is.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, do this means, you know,
it, all of it.
All of it. Well, why aren't you doing it? I come back 2 months later, I'm like, why isn't this done? No, what? Why isn't what done? This. So now, that's when I said, okay, I need some help. I got to go back into the lab of understanding how to actually now grow a business, sustain a business, and you start to, like, that's why I said entrepreneurship. It's the battle is, can I win against me? All of my insecurities, right? Like the insecurity of, I'm gonna go to another man, ask him for help. You know, or even the idea of asking for help, period. Bro, you know what I'm saying? Like overcoming this level of trauma, like getting out of this, I'll do it you know what? I'll do this myself. Getting out of that attitude. There's so many things you just have to overcome in this process. So yeah, this is a real journey right here.
Bro,
it's a real journey.
Good. What do you feel like men's #1 setback is? Like, when because you've coached all kind of folks, bro. You said ego?
It's the ego, bro.
How do you get rid of that though? Like, ego is sometimes the only reason that you can get from point A to point B. And so it's such a necessary part of who you are as an individual. But it also, it's like an unstable matter, right? Like it's explosive. Like you don't even want to shake it because you just don't know what is gonna happen. but it's necessary. So how do you properly have the necessary ego to even say to yourself in the mirror, I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to do it because I'm going to work at this until I make it happen? You have to have some measure of ego to embark on that kind of a journey. But then also, you're also expected to not have an ego so you could be coachable and nice to people and, and gracious, even when you've been taking L's for months, years on end publicly sometimes. How do you manage that?
I think it's there comes a point when you have to learn yourself enough to know when my ego is needed and when it's not. There's a difference. In a time where I am failing and I have tried everything I know to do, and it is now time to ask for help, my ego is not needed right now.
We don't need that right now.
We need help. I don't need you. Like, no, we got it. I know we got it, but we're gonna get it with help. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but in a time where I know that I've created the best product or service and I've tried and tested it, and now it's time to market and show up. Now my ego is needed. Yeah. Right? Like that ego of knowing who I am and being firm in that and not allowing anybody to take that away from me, or being firm in my belief for myself, that high level of belief, that audacity. Yeah. You got the audacity to create this, you know what I'm saying? To create something and then sell it and then tell people you're going to spend $10,000, $20,000 for it. You have, yes, I do. I do. So therefore the ego is needed. We just have to identify when it's needed, right? There's times when my wife and I tell each other, there's time when my wife would just want to pop off on me. And I'm like, babe, you don't need to do that with me, okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could be like, you know what, babe, I was a little disappointed. I thought you were going to do this and this and this. And that right there would do the same thing as you bringing your ego. I'll be like, look, you right. I should have got that done, right? Like, so when I think about my youngest son or my middle son, I can tell him like, hey, son, daddy's a little disappointed that you didn't get this done like you were supposed to. And he's going to put that head down and be like, I don't need to puff my chest out for him. I don't need to point the finger. I don't need to, I'm daddy, you listen. None of that is necessary, right? So it's about understanding when your ego is needed. I'll tell you this real quick. A guy I follow in the poetry world, he talked about he went over to Israel and it was a group of men praying in a church. And he said there's one point that all the men, it's like 30 men, he said all the men started crying and weeping in worship. And he said, I couldn't cry. And then he said, at that moment, I was the weakest man in the room. He said, my ego wouldn't allow me to submit to this vulnerability of crying. And so then in the poem, he talks about, I have to start being great before my ego finds out. And I was like, woo, that's so good. That's so good. So I have this thing with my mother where she texts me, and sometimes there's a level of resentment that comes up because it's like, why weren't you texting me then? Even though I didn't have a cell phone when I was younger. Why weren't you texting me then? You know what I'm saying? I wanted you then. And now today I'm like, okay, if she texts, my goal is to text back right away. Because I'm saying to myself, I have to do it before my ego finds out. Yeah. If my ego finds out, then it's gonna be like, no, you should have. No, you gonna wait. You know what I'm saying?
You just said something. That's. I gotta do it before my ego finds out.
Before my ego finds out, bro. Before that, I gotta run to forgiveness with my wife before my ego. Because once the ego finds out, bro, that's a monster. That's a hard thing to. I gotta beat this thing down now. Now I gotta overcome my ego just to now get to you. It's like, no, I gotta do it before my ego finds out. my ego finds out that I'm being vulnerable, it's gonna try hard not to let me. If my ego finds out that I'm about to ask for help, it's like I'm gonna get stuck in this place, and I'm gonna try to do it again on my own and go through another series of failures because my ego found out that I was about to be vulnerable, that I was about to ask for help. You know what I'm saying? So that's key. Like when you ask about what, as far as us, like our egos, bro.
That's wild, man. I don't even know what to say right now. That was a lot. I received that. I received that. That's
Amen.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. I got one more question for you, and then we got to go into a thought exercise, bro. You got a little bit more time, or do we need to cut?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Now this is off script, bro. What's the hardest conversation you've ever had to have with your wife about entrepreneurship?
About entrepreneurship?
About your business, bro. Y'all went through a whole lot of stuff together. What's the hardest conversation? Because we talking about teams. We talking about like you gotta have the right circle. For some of us, that means good friends, right? And then for some of us, we gotta quit being the solo dog. We gotta just commit to something and allow that to grow into what you're looking for. However that is for you, right? I'm not telling nobody to do nothing. I'm just being real on here as a man. And I think there's a lot of conversations that are very difficult to have.
For sure.
And that ego window is very, very small.
Yeah.
And it can show up mid-conversation. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, like, so I just, I mean, and I know that's maybe a personal question, but from what you can share, like, what's been one of the hardest and best conversations that you've had to have with your lady about where we're at, what we're doing, and what it looks like, what it's gonna take?
I would say, man, there's so many conversations that we've had to have. Shout out to Dar, who is on here as well, commenting and inviting other people. But I would say one conversation that I had, which I think this really hurt her, but for me, I was hurting, and I think I didn't want to receive the failure, so I needed to make it about her. Now this was a time where she had already been supporting me through the whole journey, even at a time where my license got barred, and she was now had to drive for 2 years, and I didn't have to drive. And I remember saying to her, like, you know what, like, the reason why our business is not where it's supposed to be is because of you. You know, I had blamed her for the business, and you know, that hurt her. You know, and I think my wife she's not one that will express her hurt too often, but to hear, like, she just took it and then came back, and it was like, yo, how dare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the one that this and this and this and this and this, and I had to receive that. You know, I had to receive that. I, of course, apologize and all of those things. And I think more so, this was at a point where my ego didn't want to accept this failure. It didn't want to accept that there was something in me that needed to change in order for us to grow. And so it's like, no, but if you would have just, and so that was a hard conversation. It was a hard recovery process to come back from. And I think like there had to be a level of trust that was built in that. You know, there's a lot of pressure on that. If we're supposed to be building this together, but you're looking at me like I'm the liability, now it becomes harder to grow together. So I think that was probably a really hard conversation to have and to grow from.
Wow.
There's several more, but that was probably one of the harder ones. Like, and there are times when I've come back and I've fed her this dream of how much money we're going to make from this launch and do all of these things. And the hard conversation of coming back, and she's like, so how do we do? And I have to put my head down like, no, we didn't do anything. Those are hard conversations, right? to know like I planned for this. You believed in it, and now it's not happening.
Yeah,
So like,
speed home for an enrollment call or something, and they don't show up. You've been preparing,
right?
doing
Yeah,
all this stuff, move your whole day around, get there,
yeah,
nobody shows up.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Those are hard conversations, or hard conversations of the fear of I'm seeing money go out the account, and I'm seeing the lack of sales being made, and now I have to. Now I'm having this conversation of like, man, we got to stop spending. I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, those are hard conversations to have. Anytime that you're impacting somebody else's life, there's a lot of pressure as far as an entrepreneur, or the desire to be a provider, whether man or woman, the desire to be a provider and bring in income. There's pressure that comes with that, because when you don't do it, then what? Then you let down an entire family, and then you look at the situation. You're like, how do I recover from this? How do I provide for my family? How do I look myself in my wife or my kids in the eye, and let them know, like, yo, we got to give up this home, or we can't do that because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or the reason why you aren't getting new clothes or going on trips is because I didn't make something happen. Bro, there's a lot of pressure in it.
That's deep.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep, bro.
So, yeah. So this, deep, like these shoulders, you gotta understand, when you step into this ring, there's weight that comes with it, and just knowing how to manage that weight is huge, because you can lose yourself in it, and that's the thing. Like, that's the real. I say it again. That's the real battle. Is, Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep yourself, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, like, that's a real statement, right? If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. So like, in this entrepreneur journey, like, if you can keep yourself in this journey, you won.
Bro, that's a bar right there. If you continue to show up for yourself in spite of all the things you're going through, you already won. The money gonna have to just catch up.
You won. You know what I'm saying? And so now, if you continue to do that and win, then the result of you now winning is, okay, now you start to make money and all of those things. But making money is not the win. You keeping yourself, that's the win. And then the result of the win is the money. Is being able to go to Spain, or my wife just got back from Belize for her birthday. Like, that's not the win. The win came because we kept ourselves, and then because of that, we were able to enjoy the results of keeping ourselves. That's key.
Bro, this is masterful, bro. I'm so grateful, man. Y'all, if y'all are not doing this yet, you need to be following Words Taylor on IG, on Facebook, on every other platform where he is. Not only is he brilliant, but he's just one of the most insightful and kind-hearted human beings. Like, I just don't even know. Man, that's just wild. You said so many things, man. Before you go, though, I really want to make sure that we get a thought exercise from you. If that comes by form of a poem, I'm not going to be mad, but I'm also not going to make you do nothing. I want you to do whatever you feel like would be the most helpful for somebody who is maybe listening to this on a train or on a bus, or getting ready to run into a meeting or something, and they need something to move forward.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll do like a little 30-second joint. Bear with me, I haven't spit in a minute though, but
I'm so hyped for this, bro.
Let's go.
All right.
So at first it may be hard for me to write this, but then I think I serve a God that is righteous, so I might just start making moves instead of making fools. I turn life into a game, so now I'm running these rules, trying to stay up, but I'm always down. So much struggle on my face, I can't help but to frown. But with my back against the rope, I stand with a closed fist, searching through God's great book, begging him to show me my niche. A black man with a mind, so they scared of my common sense. How common is this? Dr. King in my throat, so I have to speak loud. I got bricks for legs, so I have to stand proud. I move forward with my one-person stampede. Only thing is, I don't think this world is ready for me. Words.
That was boss, bro. That's love, bro. That's amazing. Thank you so much, bro. Oh my goodness. Y'all getting everything today. If y'all are not following Words, tell them how do they get a hold of you, man? How do they connect with you? If they trying to launch a course, if they're trying to do get live in this entrepreneur digital space, what do they need to do, bro?
Yeah, so just reach out to me on Instagram at Words Taylor, and we take it from there. Anything that I would want you to be involved in, for me, you will find it in the link in my bio on my Instagram. So that will take you to anywhere, anything that I'm doing currently.
Absolutely. And I'm really big on doing your homework. So, if you all are thinking about doing and getting into entrepreneurship and you're looking for a coach, you got to find the coach with the right energy and who has the right values. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for you to learn from him. So if you don't do anything except jump there and stalk his page for the next week or so before you say anything, do it. Yeah. Take your time. Yeah. So thank you so much, bro. Oh my goodness, man. Thank you so much for all of this, bro. This is amazing. Yeah. This is amazing. All of you all, thank y'all for being here. This was another incredible episode. Just make sure you like, share, comment, share this with your buddies, people who you know are gonna need this, people who you know are in a space where this is what they need, and we all have been there, and so we know those folks. You know those folks. Share it with a couple people, and we'll talk to you guys again on another episode of Empower You Podcast. Appreciate you. Love you, Words. Appreciate you, dog. And we'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Peace. Empower You Podcast is devoted to bringing real-world wisdom and encouragement to our listeners. We discuss a multitude of life principles and the process from an economic, cultural, and societal perspective. We believe that through tough conversations and shared wisdom, we can pave the path and leave a ladder for the future. Subscribe to our channel and let us empower you.